Thank you. Give him a hand. Show him some love, y'all.
I first of all want to say thank you too to the forum tonight, and certainly for the professional representation at the table, the judicial system and legal system. I think the magnitude of the problem that many of us in the church community as a whole, we've seen this growing for the last 15 years. We've seen it growing. Many of us in the African American community particularly affected, have been affected past 15 years. Most of us, African Americans in particular, have shied away from any kind of professional treatment. My mother, who had a bipolar disorder for over 30 years, myself as a veteran being affected by PTSD before they even had a diagnosis. And the legal system certainly has already been affected tremendously over time, over the last 20 plus years. Today, when you see the news, any particular scenario on the news with criminal behavior, some abnormal kinds of behavior, is a direct result of mental illness. Let me say that again. Any particular abnormal news story that you see is a direct result of mental illness. Just today, a woman was riding on a little exercise bike in the middle of West University, and 3 people accosted her and tied her up and assaulted her and robbed the house. We saw videotapes a couple of days. A woman went in a church. Excuse me, let me just say that again. Went in a church, and now they found out she has a 20-year history. Just had a little boy shot his brother accidentally today. 7-year-old shot a 5-year-old in a motel. Now, for whatever reason that the result of behavior is there, I'm saying to us, so we can clearly understand it, as we have with the clergy for the last year and a half, it's a direct result of mental illness. Now, what's our response? Number one, in the African American church community in particular, we have to break the denial. Excuse me, let me just say that again. We have to break the denial. And we have to realize that there has been a subculture within our community that has perpetuated it. We've got to look at our community and realize some people who thought they were being funny, slick to get a check and put their kid in elementary school on a crazy check, now you reaping the results of that. And we got to look right at the community, just ourselves first. I don't want to look at the sheriff. I don't want to look at the judge yet. We got to look at ourselves first. Then we have to look in the mirror. Excuse me. I did not really get no help until I realized I was a little sick myself. When I realized that, then I could find out what kind of help I needed, which that meant I had to go back into my own generation. Most of us don't want to discuss that. Then I'm not going to get into the issue of family secrets. Excuse me, y'all. I'm going to pass the mic on, but the point is simple. We got to first start in our own community. Every church needs to have a health ministry. One component needs to be mental illness. I hope I'm not stumbling, because we're kicking off this campaign in July to make sure every pastor understands that I don't care if you got 12 members or 2,000. You need to have a health ministry. One component needs to be mental illness. Then we can connect. See, ain't no sense you going down there to the judge when the person that hit you and your cousin in the head. You already know they're going to hit you in the head 6 months before it happens. That's when you need to get some help, some backup. And until you get that backup and realize you're not by yourself, we got too many organizations that offer too many good programs that say we can't get no help. And so I'm just here simply to support the effort with Dr. Nash and everybody else at the table, and to make sure you understand, don't act like it ain't in your house.
Well put, Pastor Gilmore. And what we like about Pastor Gilmore is he speaks his mind. He lets you know what's on his mind, and he speaks the truth. It affects all of us. We may want to say that it's not in our families or that it's not there, but it affects all of us. Now we're going to move down just a little bit further. I'm gonna bypass you just a minute, Pastor. I'm gonna go to Mr. Pittman. I want to go to Mr. Pittman. I want his thought.
And as a law enforcement professional for many years, the way that I see this is there are problems that it is going to take a collection of resources to get it done. The jails have become, without a doubt, the largest mental health facilities in the state, in the country. And so with that said, everything comes with a cost. And there is not unlimited money to do this with. So this will work best as a partnership within these organizations within the community, because no community should be overlooked. And that is the problem that has existed for a long time. It exists today. And the only way that we're going to get this fixed is, as I was speaking to some young ladies at the back of the room earlier, is that whoever is in charge, you need to be smart enough to know what you don't know. And go to those who know. So to sit back and simply say, because I'm in a certain position, I'm going to make everybody assume that I know what I'm doing. It is very important to me that these are problems that we have to solve. Our communities are deteriorating. It is getting worse. No one here can say this is getting better. And the other side of the coin says there is not, I'm going to say this again, unlimited amounts of money to throw at this. We must sometimes think our way out of some of our problems. We cannot just simply say more money, more money, more money. Because as everyone in this room, I'm sure of, you have a budget. And if you exceed your budget, something bad is going to happen. Okay? Whether you turn off, probably don't want to turn off your electricity right now because it's kind of warm. But whether that means you have to take a bus to work instead of drive, whether you are not going to go out to eat dinner tonight and you're going to eat something at home, all of these things are what we have to consider, that we do not have unlimited money to throw at it. But that does not mean that we cannot address and fix the problem. If you cannot just turn your back on it and say, well, because someone is not going to give me more money, well, this is just going to go away. It's not going to go away. It's not going to go away. And what I would submit to you this evening is this. This will only work as a partnership. You cannot say, police do this, judge do this. You cannot do this. If we do this together, because this problem exists everywhere. I don't care how much money you have in the bank, what degrees you have hanging on the wall, mental illness is everywhere. And it will only work if we do this together. Thank you.
Thank you. Good.
Now we're gonna hear from an organization that we come to know. It's called NAMI, and Gina Dyson is the executive director. We got to know her through Robin's Haven, Haven of Hope, and come to find out they have, I mean, just so many resources out there that we don't even know, that people did not even know about, and they wanted to come into the Sunnyside community. So we open our doors to bring them into, to help them get into the Sunnyside community. So we're gonna let you hear now from Gina Dyson.
Thank you and good evening. Before I begin telling you about a lot of the resources that we provide at NAMI, I want to paint a picture for you. When I grew up in a small town, Southeast Texas, grew up in an alcoholic family. Mother died at 14, didn't have anyone to take care of me, went to family members, went to the streets, went into the system, got emancipated, got severely depressed, got diagnosed. People around me, that don't happen to you, you're black. Black people don't get depressed. Pray and move on. Well, I did that. Graduated, got a scholarship to University of Texas. Went to UT, got severely depressed. Lost scholarships, lost it all. Depressed to the extent where I lived in my closet for months because I was afraid to even come out and face myself, not even the world. At that time, I made a commitment. Well, really, UT made the commitment. I had to get help. If not, I had to go home. but I didn't have a home. So I decided that I would stand and I would be silent no more, that I would break the stigma of mental illness. And I did that by going back and starting to work with youth and young adults who also face similar challenges. Not only am I a person with the story, but I'm also now a parent of a child that has ADHD. And I'm also an advocate, and that's why I'm here today, is to share all of those stories. I'm the executive director of NAMI, which we're the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and we provide free, y'all hear that, free education classes and support groups to children, individuals, and families, not only throughout Greater Houston, but we're a national organization. And we're here today to tell you not only about all the programs that we have, but we want to help. We want to become a household name in your home. Some things that we have partnered with and that we're going to continue to partner here with the Sunnyside community is that in July 21st to the 23rd, we have 2 free educational classes that we'll be offering here. One class is for the parents or caregivers of children under the age of 18 who have a diagnosed mental illness, or if you suspect your child may have a diagnosed mental illness, please come. We have wonderful teachers, we have wonderful trainers and facilitators that not only have went through several hours of lengthy training, but these are people that have lived experience. They have walked that day to day. So not only can they share with you textbook knowledge, but they have that personal experience, that day to day, that stuff that will get you through. I.e., I have called on them several times myself. We also have a class, it's called Great Minds Think Alike, and that's for youth between the ages of 12 through 17 that have been diagnosed with a mental illness, or if you suspect your child or a child that you're caring for may have a mental illness, please bring them. Because without knowledge, you have nothing, and knowledge is power. And we do better when we know better. So in order for us to take back our children and take back our community, we must educate them and provide them with the information and resources that they need. And that's what we do at NAMI. We work with schools, we work with churches, we work with corporations, we work with the courts, we work with CIT, we work with whoever you can think of. Mental illness goes across the lifespan, and our role as advocates and as educators is to make people truly understand that the brain is an organ. It is no different than if you had diabetes, if you had heart disease. It is the same thing. And in order for us to take care of our body, we must take care of our mind. So, thank you.
Lots of information, y'all. I'm just finding out so much information because it's just so much out there. And there's no reason for us to be lost when there's so much free stuff out there for us. Now, I want to give over now to Mr. Bryant.
Thank you, Pastor Nash, to our host, to Ms. Bennett, to Mr. Pittman, Judge, Pastor Gilmore. I appreciate the opportunity to come out and talk about mental illness. I appreciate the church as well as the television program for raising the awareness of what's going on in our areas. I think it's refreshing to know that the church has took this issue and they are committed and they're dedicated to addressing some of the things that's going on in our communities. To look at some of the root causes of mental illness, we start looking at depression. People are depressed when they don't have jobs. People are depressed when they don't have any money. People are depressed whenever they have criminal records. There's nothing to do. So, Mr. Pittman, I'm in agreement with you when you say that it takes partnerships with all of our organizations. We need to make sure that the city is offering economic development within our communities, to make sure that our young people have jobs, to make sure that they have incomes, make sure that they have things to do. Partner with the churches to make sure that we align our priorities and our focuses and what we're put on this earth to do, make sure that's at center point. When people aren't have a healthy balance of what's right, what's important, you start having all these other issues. And I'm a PK, so I still believe in miracles and I still believe in prayer. So we can't just throw drugs and medicine at all of our problems. So we have to be in partnership with our religious institutions, make sure that they are equipped and funded to help our community. They are strategically located and centered
within all of our areas. And so our pastors and our community leaders, they have the pulse of that community. And so I'm an advocate for making sure that these organizations have the help that they need to help our people. So I appreciate you, Pastor Nash. And once they get to the judge, it's good to know that people like Judge Crockett understands that there are situations that that people have problems and people make mistakes. But having a judge and having our law enforcement officers in tune with mental illness is encouraging, and you guys should just give these two a hand again. Yeah. And lastly, if you don't mind, I remember a time, and Mr. Pittman, I remember a time when our preachers rode in the car with our police officers, because whenever they get to a scene, if there's a crime, there might be a situation where that minister or that community leader may be able to diffuse that situation prior to this officer having to pull out his gun. So again, it's going to take our community to fix our problems. And so thank you guys for being engaged. We've got a packed house out here, and so you guys look good, and I'm glad you're involved. Thank you so much.